It was a bright Saturday morning, and a young man named Mark sat at his desk in his cramped apartment. Surrounded by a sea of unfinished projects, unresponded emails, and a constant sense of overwhelm, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. Despite working long hours and trying to stay organized, he never seemed to make real progress. He had goals, yes, but he had no clear sense of direction. It felt like he was stuck on a hamster wheel, moving fast but getting nowhere. One day, after a particularly frustrating week, Mark stumbled upon a book, Clarity by Steven Cesari. At first, he wasn't sure if reading yet another self-help book would help, but something about the title struck him. Clarity. He realized he was yearning for that. He needed to understand his purpose, his path. He began reading with one question on his mind. How can I find clarity in my life? As he turned the pages, Mark was slowly led to a powerful realization. Clarity wasn't just about setting goals, it was about understanding the foundation of those goals, aligning your values with your vision, and taking intentional steps toward what truly mattered. Little did Mark know, this book would completely transform the way he approached his life. Introduction to the book. Clarity is not your typical self-help book. It doesn't just throw motivational quotes at you or give you surface-level advice. Instead, Steven Cesari takes a deep dive into the core of what makes a person truly clear on their journey, whether it's in their career, relationships, or personal development. This book is about discovering who you are at the core, what you truly want, and then taking deliberate actions to bring that vision to life. Throughout the book, Cesari emphasizes one key idea. Without clarity, everything feels chaotic and uncertain. It's like trying to build a house without a blueprint. You might make progress, but you'll eventually hit a point where the structure crumbles because you didn't have a clear plan to begin with. Cesari argues that achieving success, happiness, and fulfillment starts with one simple but profound step: gaining clarity. So let's start with the first key takeaway from Clarity: how to uncover your personal vision. Part 1. Discovering your personal vision. Mark had always thought success was about working harder, staying busy, and grinding through challenges. But as he read further, he realized that success doesn't come from working hard alone. It comes from working on the right things. Cesari stresses the importance of creating a clear vision for your life. He describes it as the process of looking inward, understanding your passions, your strengths, and your core values. It's about asking yourself deep questions like, what do I truly care about? What excites me? What does success really mean for me? Many people, including Mark, spend years chasing after things that they think they should want: titles, money, recognition. But these external goals often leave them feeling empty. The key to true fulfillment, Cesari explains, is aligning your life with your personal vision. When your actions match your values and passions, success becomes more than just a destination. It becomes a byproduct of living authentically. Mark's breakthrough moment came when he asked himself a simple but profound question. What would I do if money and time weren't an issue? This question unlocked a new sense of clarity in him. For the first time, he could see his true passions: helping people through meaningful work, creating something impactful, and living with intention. Key takeaway: clarity begins with self-reflection. To build your personal vision, Cesari encourages you to take time for self-reflection. This means understanding what truly drives you, what you value, and where you want to go in life. Once you have this clarity, you can start to align your goals and actions with your vision. The clearer your vision, the more focused and purposeful your actions will become. And that's where Mark's journey with the book began to shift. He started seeing every decision he made through the lens of his newly discovered vision. Every project he took on, every opportunity he considered, now had a filter. Does this align with my vision? As he dug deeper into the book, Mark learned that clarity wasn't something you could force. It was a process of uncovering, learning, and refining. Clarity is dynamic. It evolves as you evolve. But once you begin to understand your vision, you start seeing opportunities that align with your life purpose, and everything begins to fall into place. After reading about the power of a personal vision, Mark felt a spark of hope. He understood the importance of knowing where he wanted to go. But there was still one big question lingering in his mind. How do I actually get there? His personal vision was clear, but now he faced the challenge of making it a reality. His life was filled with distractions, demands, and countless decisions, all pulling him in different directions. Mark realized that having clarity in your vision wasn't enough. You also needed clarity in your decisions. How could he start making decisions that aligned with his purpose? That's when he came across the next crucial concept in clarity, the idea that clarity in your vision must be paired with clarity in your choices. Introduction to the concept of clarity in decisions. Cesari dives into the power of decision-making in the pursuit of clarity. He argues that decisions, both big and small, are the building blocks of your life's trajectory. But too often, people make decisions based on fear, external pressures, or short-term rewards, instead of aligning them with their true vision. This creates confusion and takes them further away from their goals. Mark, now feeling more aware of his purpose, started to see how he had been making decisions without considering his deeper vision. Many of his choices, though seemingly innocent, were not aligned with his true desires. He had often made career moves for the wrong reasons, either out of financial pressure or a desire to impress others. Now, as he read on, Mark realized that it was time to reevaluate every decision he made. Part 2. The Power of Decision-Making. In this section, Cesari explains that clarity in decision-making comes from understanding your vision and filtering your choices through that lens. Instead of reacting impulsively to life's demands, you can start making decisions proactively. Every choice becomes an opportunity to align with your values, purpose, and goals. Cesari's advice was simple yet profound. Make decisions with clarity. This means taking a step back before making any major decision, whether it's about a job, relationship, or project, and asking yourself, does this move me closer to my vision? Is this in alignment with my core values? Mark began practicing this approach, and he quickly realized how powerful it was. For the first time, he wasn't just reacting to life's challenges. He was responding from a place of intention. By aligning his choices with his vision, he felt more empowered and confident. Even when faced with difficult decisions, Mark now had the clarity to navigate them. Key takeaway: align your choices with your vision. The takeaway from this section is clear. Clarity in your decisions is crucial for progress. By taking the time to reflect on your vision before making choices, you create a pathway that leads directly to the life you want to build. Every decision, no matter how small, becomes an opportunity to move closer to your goals. Mark's decision-making process evolved as he continued reading. No longer was he swayed by distractions or external expectations. His decisions, both personal and professional, became a reflection of his vision for his life. Cesari also highlights that not all decisions need to be monumental to be important. In fact, it's the small, daily decisions that accumulate over time and define your path. The way you spend your time, how you manage your energy, and who you surround yourself with, these are all decisions that shape your future. Mark took this advice to heart. He began focusing on small, everyday decisions, from the way he managed his workday to the people he chose to spend time with. As he aligned these choices with his vision, he noticed a profound shift in how he felt. He felt more focused, more energized, and more in control. As Mark continued his journey toward clarity, the next concept Cesari discussed was the importance of eliminating distractions. As Mark progressed on his journey toward clarity, he realized something crucial. His life was filled with distractions, emails, social media, constant notifications, and even well-meaning friends and family pulling him in different directions. Despite his growing sense of purpose, Mark found himself struggling to stay focused on what truly mattered. He was overwhelmed and at times paralyzed by the noise around him. That's when he reached the part of clarity where Cesari addressed one of the most powerful concepts in the book: eliminating distractions. Mark understood that clarity wasn't just about knowing your vision or making better decisions. It was about creating space in your life to focus on what's truly important. Introduction to eliminating distractions. In Clarity, Cesari emphasizes that distractions are one of the main reasons people struggle to find success and fulfillment. The world is full of distractions, everything from the constant hum of technology to the many demands from others. These distractions cloud your thinking, prevent you from acting on your vision, and drain your energy. Mark realized that, even with his newfound clarity, he was still trying to do too much. He was responding to every email, jumping into every meeting, and scrolling through his social media feed at all hours of the day. He was busy, but not productive. Part 3. creating space for what matters. Cesari's advice in this section is simple yet powerful. Eliminate distractions. To do this, he suggests identifying the things in your life that aren't contributing to your vision or well-being and eliminating them, or at least minimizing them. This could mean setting boundaries with others, cutting out time-wasting activities, or even limiting your exposure to negative media. For Mark, the first step was to create a distraction-free zone in his daily routine. He began to block out specific times in the day to focus on his work, turning off notifications and setting clear limits on social media usage. The key, Cesari writes, is to protect your time like it's your most valuable asset because in many ways it is. Mark found that by eliminating distractions, he was able to focus more on the things that truly mattered to him, working on his personal goals, engaging deeply with his projects, and nurturing his relationships. Key takeaway: time is your most valuable asset. The main takeaway from this section is that eliminating distractions is essential for clarity. By protecting your time and focusing only on the things that align with your vision, you can create a life of purpose and intention. This not only allows you to be more productive, but also to feel more fulfilled. When you eliminate distractions, you start to create the mental and emotional space needed to achieve your true goals. Mark soon noticed a profound shift in his life. His days became more focused, and his stress levels decreased. He wasn't running around trying to keep up with everything. Instead, he was intentionally choosing where to direct his energy. His sense of clarity grew stronger as he made decisions that aligned with his vision. As Mark moved forward, Cesari brought up another important concept that he had struggled with for a long time: overcoming fear. One evening, as Mark sat at his desk, his thoughts turned to the next big step in his journey. He had developed clarity in his vision, made decisions with intention, and eliminated distractions. Yet there was something still holding him back, a fear that lingered in the back of his mind, casting shadows over his ambitions. The fear of failure, the fear of making the wrong decision, the fear of stepping into the unknown. Mark knew he had to confront this fear if he ever hoped to truly realize his vision. He had been afraid of taking risks, of putting himself out there, and of potentially failing in the process. Then, as Mark continued reading clarity, he found the answer he was searching for. Cesari highlighted that fear is often the biggest barrier to achieving clarity and success. The fear of failure, he wrote, can paralyze us and prevent us from taking action toward our goals. But the truth is, the more you let fear control you, the more it keeps you from discovering the true clarity you need to succeed. Introduction to Overcoming Fear. In Clarity, Cesari explains that fear is a natural part of the human experience, but it's important not to let it hold you back. Fear, according to Cesari, is often based on misconceptions. It is the fear of failure, fear of judgment, and fear of stepping outside our comfort zones that can keep us from reaching our full potential. Cesari stresses that the key to overcoming fear is not to fight it, but to acknowledge it and take action in spite of it. Fear is simply a signal that you are stepping outside your comfort zone. And that's where growth happens. It's not about eliminating fear, but learning to manage it and move forward anyway. Part 4. Embracing Fear and Taking Action. Mark's breakthrough moment came when he realized that fear wasn't something to avoid, it was something to embrace. He understood that every successful person he admired had faced fear at some point, but they didn't let it stop them. Instead, they used it as fuel to move forward. Cesari advises that the key to overcoming fear is to take action despite it. Whether it's launching a new project, starting a conversation with someone, or making a big decision, you have to move past the fear and take the first step. The more you face your fear and act in spite of it, the more confident you become in handling it. Mark decided to test this theory. There was a project he had been postponing because he was afraid it might fail. But this time, he didn't let that fear stop him. He launched the project even though the uncertainty was unsettling. To his surprise, the project wasn't as difficult as he had imagined, and the results were far better than he had anticipated. Part 5. As Mark progressed with his new mindset and newfound clarity, he was hit with an unexpected challenge. His project, the one he had launched despite his fears, faced significant setbacks. It wasn't progressing as he had hoped, and things were starting to feel overwhelming again. The doubts began creeping back. Was he on the right path? Should he just quit? For a moment, Mark felt the familiar pull of his old habits. the urge to abandon the project and move on to something else. He had been here before, giving up when things got tough. But this time, something was different. He wasn't ready to let go of his vision, no matter how many obstacles stood in his way. That's when Mark came across one of the most powerful lessons in clarity: the importance of staying committed to your vision, no matter the setbacks or obstacles that arise. Introduction to Resilience and Commitment. Cesari talks about the inevitable challenges that will arise on the path to clarity. He explains that setbacks and failures are not signs that you're on the wrong path. In fact, they're often a necessary part of the journey. The key is not to let these setbacks derail you, but to stay committed to your vision and push through them. Resilience, according to Cesari, is the ability to bounce back from adversity, and it's a quality that can be developed over time. Every successful person, he writes, has faced challenges. What separates them from others is their commitment to keep moving forward despite the setbacks. Part 5. Staying committed to your vision. Mark read this section with a sense of relief. He wasn't alone in his struggles. Everyone experiences setbacks, but what truly matters is how you respond. Mark decided to double down on his commitment to his vision. Instead of abandoning his project, he chose to adapt. He learned from the mistakes, sought new solutions, and kept pushing forward. Cesari emphasizes that setbacks are temporary, but giving up on your vision can have lasting consequences. He encourages readers to view each obstacle as an opportunity to grow stronger and refine their approach. It's through the struggles that you develop the resilience needed to reach your full potential. Mark took this lesson to heart. He started to see the challenges he faced as stepping stones, not stumbling blocks. Each setback became a chance to adjust his strategy and keep moving forward. He kept reminding himself of his larger vision, and with each small victory, his confidence grew. Key takeaway: resilience is key to achieving your vision. The main takeaway here is the importance of resilience. It's easy to feel defeated when things don't go according to plan, but the most successful people are those who stay committed to their vision, even in the face of adversity. Resilience isn't about avoiding failure, it's about bouncing back stronger and staying on course. Mark's project began to slowly turn around. By remaining committed and adapting to the challenges, he found new opportunities and ways to make it work. His progress wasn't linear, but every step forward felt more meaningful. He was no longer driven by fear or doubt, but by a deep commitment to his vision and the clarity he had gained. As Mark continued, Cesari introduced another critical idea: the importance of focusing on what you can control instead of getting lost in external factors. Part 6. A few months after Mark had committed to his vision, things were looking much better. His project was gaining traction, and his confidence had never been higher. However, there were still moments when he felt overwhelmed by things beyond his control. External factors like market shifts, unexpected competition, and personal issues were starting to weigh on him. One day, as Mark sat in his office, staring at a report about a competitor who had just launched a similar product, he felt the familiar weight of frustration creeping back. Why does this always happen? He thought. Why do I keep facing obstacles that I can't control? Then he recalled a lesson from clarity that had stayed with him: the importance of focusing on what you can control. Cesari made it clear: when you focus on things outside your control, you lose clarity and energy. Instead, concentrate on what you can directly influence to move forward. Introduction to focusing on what you can control. Cesari talks about the psychological power of focusing only on what you can control. He highlights that people often waste valuable time and energy worrying about things that are entirely outside their control, whether it's the actions of others, external circumstances, or past mistakes. But this mindset only leads to frustration and confusion, clouding the clarity you need to move forward. For Mark, the moment of realization came when he asked himself a simple yet profound question: what can I control? Part 6. Letting go of what you can't control. Mark immediately began to shift his perspective. Instead of obsessing over things like market trends or what his competitors were doing, he started focusing on the aspects of his project that were within his control. He could control the quality of his product, how he marketed it, and how he interacted with his customers. Cesari advises that it's crucial to identify the things you can actually influence and let go of the rest. The external factors that you can't control, no matter how much you worry about them, don't deserve your energy. Instead, invest your time and resources into the elements you can shape and improve. For Mark, that meant putting more time into refining his strategy, improving his customer service, and enhancing the user experience of his product. He also realized that the more time he spent focusing on what he could control, the more clarity he had about the next steps to take. Key takeaway: control what you can control. The key takeaway from this section is that focusing on what you can control is essential for maintaining clarity. Trying to control everything around you is a recipe for stress and confusion. Instead, concentrate on the aspects of your life and business that are within your reach. By doing so, you can continue to move forward, even when external forces seem uncertain. Mark's life started to feel lighter as he let go of his worry about things outside his control. His progress felt more intentional and his clarity deepened. Instead of being distracted by the competition, he realized that the best way to succeed was to focus on becoming the best version of his own product, service, and self. Part 6. Recap. Focusing on the controllable elements in your life can significantly improve your sense of direction and clarity. As Mark continued to develop his business with this new focus, Cesari moved on to the next crucial step: how to set powerful goals that truly align with your vision. This part would change the way Mark approached his long-term objectives. Part 7. As Mark's business continued to grow, he felt a sense of accomplishment, but something was still missing. He had clarity on his vision and had been taking action, but he realized his success was still somewhat scattered. He didn't have a clear roadmap to guide him toward his ultimate goals. One evening, as he reflected on his progress, Mark thought back to when he first started reading Clarity. He remembered how it had encouraged him to become clear about his purpose. However, now, after achieving some level of success, he realized that clarity didn't just come from a big picture vision, it also came from setting specific, actionable goals that aligned with that vision. That's when Mark dove into the next chapter of Clarity, the importance of goal setting. He understood that without clear goals, even the best of intentions would remain directionless. Introduction to setting clear, actionable goals. In this part of the book, Cesari emphasizes that setting goals is a crucial element of achieving clarity. He argues that clarity isn't just about knowing your vision, it's about having specific, actionable goals that can guide you toward that vision. These goals provide structure and focus, and they break down the larger vision into achievable steps. Cesari suggests that every person needs a roadmap. A big dream is great, but unless you break it down into actionable, measurable goals, it can become overwhelming and unrealistic. Part 7. The power of setting. Actionable goals. Cesari advises that goal setting should start with a clear understanding of what you truly want to achieve. The next step is to break down that vision into smaller, manageable goals that can be achieved in the short and medium term. These goals must be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, known as the SMART criteria. Mark quickly grasped the power of this approach. He had always set general goals before, like grow my business, but never broken them down into clear, actionable steps. Now he began setting concrete milestones like increase monthly sales by 10% or launch a new product by the end of the quarter. Each goal was linked to his larger vision, but it gave him a clear direction on what needed to be done next. The more he aligned his actions with these specific goals, the clearer his path became. Cesari also mentions that you should regularly track your progress toward these goals. By doing this, you not only stay motivated, but you also gain valuable feedback about what's working and what's not. Key takeaway: specific goals drive clarity. The main takeaway here is that setting clear, actionable goals is essential for creating the clarity you need to succeed. Without concrete steps, even the best vision can remain vague and unachievable. By breaking down your larger goals into smaller, measurable tasks, you can create a clear roadmap to success. Mark started tracking his progress regularly and noticed that his actions became more focused. He was no longer drifting, he had a clear direction, and his goals were guiding him toward the success he had envisioned. Part 8. As Mark continued setting goals and seeing progress, he came across another challenge. With all of his efforts focused on his business, he realized he was neglecting other important aspects of his life. His relationships, health, and personal growth were beginning to suffer. One evening, after a particularly grueling day, Mark sat down with a cup of coffee and thought about what was truly important to him. He didn't want to just achieve success in business, he wanted a balanced life where his personal happiness and well-being were equally prioritized. It was then that he picked up clarity once more, and Cesari's advice hit him hard. Cesari argued that clarity doesn't just come from success in one area of life. It comes from understanding what you truly value and aligning your goals across all areas of your life. Introduction to balance and alignment. In this final part of the book, Cesari addresses the importance of achieving balance in life. While it's crucial to set and work toward professional goals, Cesari stresses that true clarity comes when you align your goals across all aspects of life: personal, professional, physical, and emotional. He explains that if you focus solely on one area, such as your career, you'll eventually find yourself burned out or unfulfilled. True success, Cesari argues, lies in creating harmony between your personal and professional life, and by setting goals that honor the things you truly value. Part 8. Achieving balance and alignment. Mark began to realize that his life couldn't just be about building his business. He needed to invest in his health, his relationships, and his personal growth. Cesari's message resonated deeply with him. To live a truly fulfilled life, your goals must align with your values. Mark took action by setting new goals in these neglected areas. He started prioritizing his health with regular exercise and a balanced diet. He set aside quality time for his family and friends, and he even took up a hobby he had abandoned years ago: painting. Cesari advises that when your goals are in alignment with your values, clarity flows effortlessly. You no longer feel torn between different aspects of life. Instead, everything feels connected, and your actions are in harmony with what truly matters to you. Key takeaway: aligning your goals with your values creates true clarity. The final takeaway from clarity is the importance of balancing and aligning your goals with your core values. True clarity comes from understanding what is truly important to you and setting goals that reflect those priorities. When you create harmony in all areas of your life, you experience a deeper sense of fulfillment and purpose. As Mark embraced this balanced approach, he felt a renewed sense of clarity. His life was no longer about chasing success in one area at the expense of others. Instead, he had found a rhythm that allowed him to pursue his vision while also living a fulfilling, well-rounded life.